You've heard of it, right? Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's one of those books that's just everywhere. It's sold millions of copies, and you see people calling it a life-changing manual for self-improvement. But with that much hype, you gotta wonder, is it really a game changer, or is it just a bunch of common sense wrapped up in a really nice cover?
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to tackle that overrated question head-on. First, we'll look at the core engine that actually drives our habits. Then we'll walk through the famous 4 laws for both building good habits and breaking bad ones. We'll also explore this idea that systems are maybe way more important than goals. And finally, we'll land on a verdict. Is it simple? Yes. But is that a bad thing? Let's find out.
Okay, so let's get right to the heart of the criticism. This comes from a Reddit user, and it kind of perfectly captures what the skeptics are thinking. The argument is, you can boil this whole 300-page book down to this. Decide what you want, break it into small pieces, and then just do it. Sounds almost painfully obvious, doesn't it?
And that is the big question for us today. I mean, is that really it? Did millions of people just get swept up by a fancier version of Nike's "Just Do It" slogan? Or is there something deeper going on here, a powerful mechanism that so many people have managed to tap into?
So let's start right there with that critique. Because the first thing that simple 3-point summary completely misses is the book's foundational idea, the almost magical power of tiny, tiny gains.
The whole concept is built on compounding. You see, if you get just 1% better at something every single day, you don't end the year 365% better. No, because of compounding, you end up almost 38 times better. But, and this is a big but, the reverse is also true. Get 1% worse each day and you slide almost all the way down to 0.
And you know what? The math doesn't lie. This is the crucial point the book makes right from the start. Real, lasting change doesn't come from some massive, heroic effort you make once. It comes from the quiet accumulation of hundreds of tiny, seemingly insignificant choices that add up over time to something truly extraordinary. That's the first layer the simple critique just doesn't see.
So let's go to the next layer. To really make that 1% rule work for you, you have to understand the engine that's running in the background, this psychological framework that drives literally every single one of your behaviors. James Clear calls it the habit loop.
Now, don't just see this as a simple diagram. This is a neurological feedback system. It's running on autopilot in your brain right now. It's the reason you have good habits, and it's the reason you have bad habits. It's a continuous cycle made up of 4 key stages.
Let's break it down really quick. First, you've got the cue. That's the trigger. Your phone buzzes on the table. That's a cue. Second, the craving. That's the desire you feel. You want the relief from boredom that you know your phone can give you. Third is the response. That's the habit itself. You pick up the phone, you start scrolling. And finally, the reward. That's the little hit of dopamine that tells your brain, hey, that felt good. Let's remember to do that again. Cue, craving, response, reward. That's the engine, running over and over again.
Okay, so if that's the engine, how do we get behind the wheel? Well, this is where the book's most famous part comes in, the 4 laws of behavior change. They're a simple, super actionable framework for hacking each stage of that loop to build the habits you actually want.
Here's the whole framework in a nutshell. To hack the cue, use the first law, make it obvious. Put your running shoes right by the door so you can't miss them. To hack the craving, use the second law, make it attractive. Maybe you pair listening to your favorite podcast, but only when you're on your morning run. For the response, the third law, make it easy. Don't start with a 5K, just start with a 2-minute jog. And for the reward, the fourth law, make it satisfying. Get a calendar and put a big X on it every day you work out. Each law is a lever you can pull to control a specific part of the loop.
Now, here's the really elegant part of this whole system. You don't need a brand new set of rules to get rid of your bad habits. Nope, you just flip the entire thing on its head.
You just invert the laws. It's that simple. So instead of making the cue obvious, you make it invisible. Hide the junk food on the highest shelf in the pantry. Instead of attractive, you make it unattractive. Really focus on how sluggish and gross you feel after eating a bunch of sugar. Instead of easy, you make it difficult. Unplug the game console. Pack it away in a closet after every use. And instead of satisfying, you make it unsatisfying. It's all about systematically adding friction to the things you don't want to do.
All right, let's talk about one more huge mindset shift that really holds this whole philosophy together. It's this idea that winners and losers, well, they often have the exact same goals. What separates them isn't the goal, it's their systems.
Think about it this way. A goal is the result you want.
I want to run a marathon. A system is the process that gets you there. Your training schedule, your weekly meal prep, making sure you get 8 hours of sleep. A goal is what points you in the right direction, sure. But it's the system, your commitment to the process, that actually makes progress happen. So why is this shift so important? Well, for one, when you obsess over a goal, you're basically in a constant state of failure until you reach it. It's always, I'm not there yet. Goals are also temporary. I mean, what motivates you after you cross the finish line? Systems, on the other hand, are for the long haul. You learn to fall in love with the process itself, and the amazing results just become a natural byproduct.
Which brings us right back to where we started. We've seen the incredible math of the 1% rule, the engine of the habit loop, the 4 laws to control it, and the power of focusing on systems over goals. So after all that, is Atomic Habits actually overrated?
You know, I think this other comment from Reddit user Kiddish just hits the nail on the head. Yeah, you can summarize the book's ideas in a few bullet points, but its real power, its true value, isn't in some secret, revolutionary idea that no one's ever heard before. The power is in its clarity. It's in the memorable frameworks and the compelling stories that make you actually believe, hey, I can do this. The simplicity isn't a weakness, it's the whole point. It's what makes the lesson stick.
And that's really the main takeaway here. Real change isn't about some massive, life-altering overhaul you're going to make tomorrow. It's about finding one tiny, almost laughably small improvement you can make today. So the ultimate question isn't whether the book is overrated. The question is, for you, what's the 1% change you're going to make right now?